Yes, it is.
All right, now I'm going to share my
Meeting
screen.
is being recorded.
Okay, I'm sharing my screen. So, Frederick, this is what I sent you.
Okay.
I think the very, very first part of January or towards the end of the Christmas holidays. This is the PAN report that I did for you, okay?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I don't know if you've had a chance to look at it, but it's a typical property animation report that I do. It was prepared for GPEKS. It's concerning the property at 399
Yeah.
Alexandre-Taché Boulevard. The effective date is January
Yeah.
5th, so the beginning of this month, obviously. The purpose of the report was the full
Okay.
property animation analysis, including the determination of the subject's highest and best use, plus my recommendations for animation, leasing, and finance strategies. And I provided some cap rate estimates to support an appraisal. Do you have an appraisal lined up?
Okay.
Do you have an appraisal
I
lined
know
up?
I don't.
Okay. So one of the things
I
that
don't.
Okay, one of the things that I'll do after this call is over is I'll make sure you get a copy of the video recording so that your appraiser, when you choose an appraiser, if he wants to or she wants to look at this discussion we're having, they can do so. I put it on YouTube. It's unlisted. The only people who will have the link will be you and me and anybody you decide to share it with. Okay?
Okay.
All right.
Great. Yeah.
All right, we did a site visit together on the 19th of December. The current status obviously is mixed use, commercial at grade, and then I consider it three residential units above grade. The financing currently GPEKS Holdings owns the subject property mortgage free, and
Right.
the purpose of this is to refinance this property in the range of 50 to 65% loan to value to assist in the acquisition of 6 Chemin Ragged Chute, Bristol. All right. And the financing strategy that you and I discussed was a possible line of credit or mortgage in the amount of $900,000, which would be a blanket on both 399 Alexandre Taché and 6
Yeah.
Ragged Chute. Okay.
Okay.
And then I just
Yeah.
put in here a note that you also own a Lac Sainte Marie property free and clear of any mortgage. But for now, I think
Right.
a refinance on Bristol and Gatineau should be sufficient to acquire Bristol.
Okay.
All right. Um, and then this is just the transmission report, and these are the services that I did. We did the site visit. I reviewed all the data you provided me. I did some highest and best use analysis of my own under the existing zoning. I'm going to talk about a few animation recommendations. I did a little bit of an ROI analysis. We've already talked a little bit about the finance and refinance plan. And then there's some advice here on how to boost revenues and attract additional tenants when the time comes. Um, all right, that's
Okay.
just the table of contents. Now here's the summary of what it is. Um, the reason I did this PAN report and in this way is to give your appraiser as much information as I can from you and me to support an appraised value, which you'll see a little later, around 1.1 million. So the idea is to provide your
Okay.
appraiser with this recording and also this report and some analysis that I did that supports hopefully an appraised value of about 1.1 million. And I think that is a fair value. Here's some of the things that I
Right.
really like about your property. It's it's 8 minutes from the Canadian Museum of History, which is a huge traffic generator. So you're really close to Old Hull, and you're in probably the best part or one of the best parts of Gatineau in terms of property values. Everybody knows that. The subject property is located in Val Tetreau, the Hull area, and according to your residential realtor, Sophie Lebrec, And I just quoted her, this region was the most popular with my buyers. This area was a top choice thanks to its affordable prices, proximity to schools, and family-friendly neighborhoods. I had the pleasure of helping clients
Yeah,
find their dream homes here from all over Gatineau this year. So it just suggests that this is a great neighborhood. Then I
yeah.
included,
I just want to mention that I'm not right now. I don't have any deals with Sophie Labrec. I have not used the services yet. I just found she had just somehow sent me that information.
yeah.
But yeah,
But I mean,
I'm not.
I'm just, I'm just
She
quoting her.
published that. Yeah,
Right,
yeah.
right. I'm just quoting her though. That quote is a very strong quote, and I wanted your appraiser to see that.
Yeah.
Then I talk about the charcuterie arena ANF European deli meats. Put in a little bit of a picture here. It's a successful Romanian store with a wide selection of popular Eastern European products. And then I talk about the subject property. It's a generally well-maintained, solid looking property with a dry basement, which is very important, which is currently being used for owner storage. Then I put in some pictures that I took. It's you can see that the building really shows well from the street, which is important. And I put in that there is adequate side yard parking. So I put in some images of the side yard parking. And that's important as well because you and I both think there can be a coach house or an accessory dwelling unit added to this property at some point, and I'm going to talk more about that in a few minutes. Then we took some pictures
Yes.
inside, picture of you in the store. It is quite a beautiful store. You okay, Frederick, to continue?
Sorry, I had just a call. I'm just going to tell that person to
Yeah, yeah.
wait until we're done. So,
We won't be too much longer.
uh, how
But
long do you think it's going to take to have an idea?
all right.
Okay.
All right. Can I continue?
Okay. Hello.
I'm still here. Frederick? Frederick, can you hear me?
Oh yeah, we disconnected somewhere.
All right. I'm going to continue now. Uh,
Yeah.
so I put some pictures in of the washroom facilities, the storeroom facilities, the retail area here. And then I really love what you've done with the outdoor seating. So this outdoor seating, if possible, should be retained, if it is possible, in the long term, because people can come to this store, they can get delicious meats and sandwiches, and then they can sit here. But also your tenants, I'm sure, are using it, correct? Frederick?
Yeah. And they access to the deck upstairs.
Yeah,
Yes.
the tenants are using it. Then I show pictures here that there's some storage. Here's one of the storage areas here. There is a stacked washer and dryer, which I show as well. And then I show the basement, which has the owner's storage in it. And I took pictures of your utilities so the appraiser can see that you've done an amazing job with your utilities. And you can do a better job of explaining why these utilities are so effective and efficient than I can. So I'll leave that to you.
Okay.
Then I show the access to the above grade apartments. And as you pointed out, it's very efficient because those stairs are outside, not inside.
In terms of space, yeah.
And then I took some pictures of the what I consider three apartments. And I've only went into two of them, but there's some pictures here of the apartments so that the appraiser gets a sense of what it is. Now, this is important here, how these residential units work. This is my opinion, Frederick. Two of the apartments are a form of communal living. One is a
Hmm.
studio or micro suite with access to a shared kitchen and a shared WC or bathroom. The other is essentially a one-bedroom unit with two third-floor rooms, also sharing the same water closet or bathroom and the kitchen. The third apartment is a self-contained studio with its own water closet, bathroom, and kitchen. And I note here, this is very important, I think, communal living is a more common situation in Quebec than other parts of Canada. It is
Mhm.
widely accepted in the province. That
Mhm.
is true. In Ontario, this kind of sharing thing that you've done is a little harder to sell, but in Quebec, I've noticed because I've got lots of clients in Quebec and lots of clients in Montreal, for example, and a few in Quebec City. Same thing. That communal living is accepted. Now, I wasn't sure about this, but when I measured your lot on Google Maps, I came up with about 600 square meters, just over 6,000
Yeah,
square feet. Is that about right?
yeah, that's right, and it can be seen from the municipal evaluation
Yeah. Okay.
or
And then
the canal.
then I identified an area back here where there is a potential in the back for an ADU. So I
Yeah,
think you can retain the seating area. You could probably retain some storage, and you can probably put in an ADU. And that ADU, this, if you can sort of see this square that I drew here, that's about 800 square feet. So that's about 73 or 74 square meters. So you have quite a bit of an area there, assuming that the city agrees to build some sort of an ADU.
yeah, and we can go 3 story high.
Yeah, yeah,
Yes, we have
yeah.
to be able
And
to do that. Yeah,
so you know you can do a three-story building with 600 square feet per floor. You could have quite the ADU there. So you have
yeah,
enough room there to put something there. I think it's very clear. And then I just put in this photograph that I took of your piece of paper, which shows the current income. These are the gross operating income and net operating actuals for, I think, 2024, and also I guess we got 2023. But then this next part thing is something I have to explain, all right?
yes.
Realtors, and I'm a realtor, are allowed to do something called a reconstructed income and expense statement. So
Hmm.
we're able to take whatever the numbers, the actual numbers are, and we're able to do a reconstructed income and expense statement of what we think as a realtor the income will be when, for example, some of your residential tenancies turn over. And I think your one bedroom with the shared bathroom and kitchen will rent for $1,100. I think the studio will rent for $850, and I think the self-contained studio will rent for $1,350. You remember I told you that I get in Belleville, which is a small town, I get $1,600 a month for a self-contained studio, which is only 350 square feet. And Gatineau is much bigger than Belleville. Belleville is about 56,000 people. Gatineau is, I think, well over 300,000. So I do think that you will eventually, as your tenants move along, you'll eventually be able to get about $3,300 a month in income from your apartments. That's gross.
Yeah.
And then I take off, as you know, I mentioned this to you when we talked, I take off about a third of your gross operating income for your operating expenses. That's your vacancy allowance, that's your insurance, that's your repairs and maintenance, it's your property management. I take off about 34% for operating expenses. Nothing to do with your mortgage. That's just a rule of thumb I use. And I'll bet you, Frederick, you're more efficient than that, but I use 34%. It wouldn't surprise me if your actual number was something like 28%, but I put in 34, so I think that's reasonably conservative. So I subtracted $13,464 from your residential income of 39,600, and I think you'll end up with about $26,000 annually of net operating income from those three units. I think that's realistic. Then I went down and I looked at the commercial space, and I think that I think for 2,200 square feet, which is what the commercial unit is occupying, $39,600 of net operating income, which is triple net rent, is actually quite low. If you divide 39,600, I'm just doing that now, by 2,200, you get about $18 per square foot triple net, okay? And you and I talked about it when we did our site visit. I think that that store should be paying more like 22 or 24 or even 26 or $28 a square foot triple net. But you said to me you didn't want to frighten them away. You didn't want to jack up the rent too much. So I put in at $18 per square foot triple net, which means they pay their operating costs on top of that. All right. So that gives
Mm.
you $39,600 a year of net operating income, which I think eventually you should be able to get that from them because that is that if they go anywhere else, I'm I've done lots of leasing in Gatineau and in downtown Hull. If they could find a place as good as this, as good a location as this, for $18 a square foot, they'd be doing, I think, pretty well. So I don't think it's too much, Frederick. So if
Yeah.
I add the 26,000 from the apartments to the 39,000 from the store, I get 65,000, almost $66,000 of net operating income. And if I use a market cap rate of 5.95%, so just under 6%, I get a value for this property of $1.1 million. And if you were to sell
Mhm.
it tomorrow, I think you would get that. I do. It's a tremendous property. It's well located. Like I said, it's close to downtown. It's close to everything, and it's in an excellent location. So I think we can support a $1.1 million valuation.
Okay.
Now, there's a few other recommendations I put here. As your tenants turn over, you should try and increase your residential rents.
Hmm.
I think you'll get those market rents that I suggested. I don't think that'll be a
Hmm.
problem. I rented a tiny house that's 180 square feet. Okay, 180 square foot tiny house on a property I own. I rented it for $1,350 a month. Imagine living in
Hmm.
180 square feet, right? So if I could get
Yeah.
1350, that's in rural Ottawa. It's not downtown Ottawa. It's rural Ottawa. I think you should, when the tenants turn over, you should try and push the rents up a little bit. Okay.
Okay.
And B on the screen here, if you can see it, okay, is again, I think you should ask these people because I think the lease is up, the commercial lease is up soon. You should ask them to progressively push their rent up a little bit. Not. I would have wanted to see it in the 44 to $45,000 a year range instead of 39,000. But I know you're hesitant. You don't want them to leave, and I agree with that. But I think that you should be able to get $39,600 a year of triple net rent from them, and they pay their operating costs on top of that. I think that is fair. Now, point number C on this you might not like. Um, I think you should find another place for your wife's storage.
Yeah.
There is a lot of stuff in the basement there, and
Oh, yeah. Well, now that we purchased that property in Bristol that has 10 buildings,
yeah,
we've got storage, and those are underused there. So we can definitely we can clear all that. Yeah.
I do think so. It's just that, I'm a fanatic for cleanliness. I am. I'm a fanatic. And it's part of building the brand for this. This is a beautiful building. And when you go downstairs, you've done a great job on the utilities. You described how efficient it is. But that storage, I mean, there's so much stuff down there. And it might also be a fire hazard. Okay.
Well,
Now, the next
it's
one.
the sprinklers there, but
I
I
know
don't
you
know.
have sprinklers, but I just
Yeah. That
this is
will
my
be clear.
recommendation.
That will be clear in the spring.
Exactly. Oh, you can't
Yeah.
don't do it in the wintertime. It's too friggin' cold. What's the temperature where you are today?
No, 30.
Yeah,
I'm
30. It's
not sure.
probably minus 10 here.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right. So rub it in, okay?
Yeah.
All right. Now, number D. This is interesting. Number D. Um, Clients of mine, some of my clients who have big buildings, they put in commercial washer and dryers that, you can use a credit card and that's how they make some money from their washer and dryer. But Frederick, do you know how much it costs to get a commercial a washer and dryer with a credit card reader,
No.
$13,000. So that's not what I'm recommending. What my clients are doing now, the smaller clients, with buildings like this, is they're actually putting a code lock on the door,
Okay.
and each of your tenants, you have three tenants, maybe the commercial
Yeah.
guys too, but at least three, they get an individual code, but they
Mm-hmm.
have to pay somewhere between $30 and $40 a month to get that code, right? And that, let's say you had three tenants and each of them were paying $35 a month to have the code so they could do their clothes. That's
Mm-hmm.
not unreasonable. Like if you and I go to a laundromat,
Right.
you're probably going to spend every time you go to the laundromat, you're probably going to spend about $10 or $12, right? And if you wash your clothes once a week, you're probably going to spend 40 or $40, $45 a month at the laundromat. But you also have to get in your car or walk to the laundromat instead of just go downstairs. So I know it doesn't sound like very much, but animation ideas are sometimes very small ideas. And what you
Yeah.
do is, what you do is you make money. Real estate is get rich slow, so you make money sometimes a little bit at a time. But I would put a lock, a digital lock there, and say, look, this is for the new tenants, right? As the new tenants
Okay.
come along, look, you're going to pay $35 a month. You have access to your own washer and dryer, but I got to. I mean, if it breaks down, you've got to repair it. If it wears
Yeah.
out, you've got to repair it. Replace it. And I have a client, he has about 14 or 15 apartments, and he charges, I think, this is in Belleville, he charges $40 a month for access to his laundry room. All the tenants have taken it. So, and that adds another $300 or $400 a month in
Mhm.
revenue for him. So it's a simple thing. Now, the next
Yeah.
one,
Another
I,
thing I'm thinking of doing is adding a fast charge electric station because more and more of our tenants are thinking to want to have electric
100%,
vehicles.
100%.
And
I
I
love
already
that.
have, yeah, I have already a plug that people can use there.
Oh,
But
wow.
I could, yeah, so that's a thing that I could
Yeah.
also charge for that.
I love
Um,
that. That's a great idea, Frederick. And you're an expert at that sort of thing. The other thing that you might consider doing, I'm not saying you would do it, but I love naming my buildings. And sometimes, I think of a local celebrity or a local monument or something like that. And instead of calling this, 399 Alexandre-Taché, you might give the building a name.
good
I
idea. Yeah, branding.
It's branding, and believe it or not, when you like on one of my buildings, which goes back, it's 150 years old. It was built by the Burroughs family back in the late 1800s. It's 150 years old, and so I changed it from 249-253 Front Street to the Burroughs building, and it attracts better tenants. I don't get any money for it, but it's called the Burroughs Building. It's got a nice sign on it saying the Burroughs Building, and it's tradition. It goes back 150 years. And people, when they are asked, where do you live? They don't say 399 Alexandre-Taché. They say, I live in the Burroughs Building.
Hmm.
Now, the next one is something I
I
really
use the name of my company, GPEKS, the
beg your
GPEKS
pardon.
building. If I use the name of our company, GPEKS, and call that the GPEKS building,
That's a beautiful name. Beautiful name.
and
Call it the
logo,
GPEX building. And
nice
put a
logo.
nice sign saying,
Yeah,
L'édifice GPEX.
yeah,
Not
because that's
beautiful.
also, Corel had the branding on the, is
Yes.
it the Corel Center, whatever,
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
you know,
You
so,
understand very well. So the next one I really like doing, on almost all of my buildings, I have storage lockers. So where you have that building now, next to the outdoor seating, I don't know if that building is salvageable, but what I do is I put in storage lockers on almost all of my buildings, sometimes inside if I have room, quite often outside, and I charge $85 a month for 80 square feet. So if I have a storage locker that's 160 square feet. I divide it into two,
Yeah.
and with a divider in the middle and a door on either end. And I charge $85 a month plus HST. In Quebec, it would be plus, I guess, Quebec sales tax, right?
Yeah.
Plus
So here we have
GST.
those two storage units that are going to be emptied, and then so that's 240 square feet. That's
Oh,
120
beautiful.
square feet each, plus the other storage that is not used also. The one that's just under the stairs. That's
Yeah,
kind
I
of
saw
small.
that. So I think you should be charging, $85 a month for 80 square feet, 90 square feet. It's not a lot of money, but if you had four of them, that adds another $300 of income, and that's pretty much all gravy.
Yeah,
And
and I guess I could charge that not just to our tenants, but anybody who wants storage.
100%. Oh yeah,
Yeah,
there's lots of people in the area who, everybody has too much stuff.
right.
Everybody, the commercial
Mm.
guys, etc. And I really like that. So the other thing that we talked about, of course, is adding an ADU. That I think is down the road a little bit, but this I mean, if you had a three-story
Well,
ADU,
yeah, I'm seriously actually working on that, and
yeah.
I'm thinking of doing that next year or so.
Oh, awesome. Now, I did include here just a sample ADU that I built. Okay. This is not the right ADU for this site. I just wanted to show you, though, what the kind of thinking that we do, okay?
Right.
All right. So this was an existing garage. Can you see my cursor moving?
Yeah.
This was an existing garage in the back of a building that my wife and I own. And we added to the existing garage, we added a space that's just under 300 square feet. And you'll notice that this addition over here has its own door to the outside. Here, can you see it?
Yeah.
So here's the front door to the garage. Here's the front door to the what I'll call the annex. In the garage, we have in this area we have a bedroom. Then we have the great room here with the kitchen, and then we have a micro suite. Now I'm going to go back to the floor plan. I'm going to make this a little bigger, so it might be a little easier to see. Well, let's see if I can.
Thank you.
Hang on a
Yeah.
second. Let me see if I can make it a little bigger. All right, maybe that will be a little easier to read.
Yeah. It's easier.
Get rid of that. Make it one more. Okay, that should be a little easier to read now. All right, so this is how it works. It's quite interesting, Frederick, and I want you to be thinking about this as you design your three-story ADU. So here's the door to the garage. You come in here, and to the right is the bedroom, a bathroom, and a closet. And then here's a great room where you have quite a nice kitchen, you have a dining area, and you have an entertainment area and a work area. All right, so this is a pretty good size, great room, a decent sized bedroom with its own what do they call it, ensuite, and of course a good sized closet. But what's interesting about this, and by the way, you can do it whether it's like I've done it here, it's 3 stories or 2 stories. What I did with this addition here is, as I pointed out, it has a door to the outside, so it has its own ingress and egress. And you notice that I turned the door 90 degrees from this door because I didn't want it to look like a duplex from the street.
No, yeah.
So if you look at it from the street, you see the front door here, and then you see this little extension here.
Mm.
But when you come in here into this micro suite or studio apartment, you'll notice that it also has a connecting door to the main house.
Okay.
So this is how it works. And it has its own little wet bar. It has its own bathroom with a shower, and it has a Murphy bed that goes up and down.
No, yeah.
So the way this is a two-bedroom apartment, or it's a one-bedroom apartment and a studio, and they can be rented separately. And what was
Okay.
interesting was I rented this space to an elderly gentleman. When I say elderly, he was probably 78 or 80 years of age. And what he did with this was really interesting, is he rented this to a personal support worker, a nice young woman who lives there, and she pays some rent. But if he needs any help, he's 80 now, she can commute to his apartment through this connecting door.
Right.
Um, or if it was just you and me renting it, we could rent this to, somebody who has some decent amount of money, and we could rent this to a student from France. Okay?
Mhm.
So, or you could rent it, the two, if it was two buddies. So this
Yeah.
connecting
Well,
door,
here like, we're focused on the university, and so there's not only students, but there's also teachers. Uh,
exactly.
a big need, and the university is expanding, as you may have heard in the news. One of the limitation they've had
I
is
know you
like they
told me
can,
that.
yeah, they cannot have enough. Basically, the number of students is just limited by the number of accommodation available in the area. So,
Yeah. Excuse me. So this is called, in English, it's called a lock-off suite. So it can be locked off and rented separately, or it can be combined with the main property.
okay,
And if you do a design, Frederick, for a three-story ADU, if you don't mind sending me the plan when you have a draft of it, I'll comment on it, and I'll show you how to incorporate some of these ideas even in a multi-story building.
yeah, I'll start working on that in the next month.
All right, looking forward to it. All right, let's keep going. Now, this is something else that I've had tremendous success with. I'm not saying you should do it. I just wanted to make sure that you're aware of what we're doing. In Ontario, I don't know in Quebec. I'm going to make this a little smaller. In Quebec, sorry, in Ontario, they have increased the size of a workshop or shed that you can put on your property without a building permit to 15 square meters.
Mm-hmm.
That's 161.5 square feet. All right. And we have been adding to a lot of our properties these little workshops that, if you have a tenant and they want to run a little shop, they want to have an office, and they want to run a carpentry shed or workshop. Maybe they're massage therapists, or they're doing physio, or
No,
they're
yeah.
doing pet grooming. And we've been buying these workshops from a company called North Country Sheds in Smith Falls, and,
Mhm.
and you can be
Yeah.
sure that the
Yeah.
um, the
Here we have Kodiak sheds in Quebec, also very popular.
I beg your pardon?
And in Quebec, we have a company called Kodiak Sheds.
Yes,
They do things like that.
yeah,
Yeah.
I know
Um,
Kodiak. So we have been buying these and putting them on our sites. It costs us about, including, insulating them, adding the electrical. We have reverse cycle heat pumps, so obviously you get heat in the winter and you get cool in the summer. We've been adding them to our properties for about $35,000 all in. Buying them, putting them on a base, adding the electrical, adding the heat pump, doing the flooring, the drywall, all of that. It costs about $35,000. And we can rent these for anywhere between $700 and $900 a month, depending where they are. So when you figure out your cap rate on these is anywhere from 14 to 17%, which is very, very high.
yeah.
And you don't even need a building permit for them. You just plunk them on the site and you're good to go.
Hmm.
So that basically is my report, Frederick. And then there's about, another 100 pages of stuff about animation and all kinds of background stuff. But the main bulk of the report is about the first, 10 or 15 pages. And it supports a value of 1.1 million. It supports an ADU. It supports the idea of having some storage lockers. And it also supports the idea maybe of having a small workshop as well.
Okay. Just a question for you. You put like a 50% roughly mortgage. Um, is there like a reason why normally commercial you can get 70% mortgage? Is there a
Yeah,
reason why?
I said I said in the report 50 to 65%. 65% loan to value will get you the best commercial rates. If you go to 70 or 80% loan to value, you're going to start to push your rates up, I think. So
Okay,
whether it's a line of credit or a mortgage, I thought 65% was a reasonable limit.
I get it. Thank you.
But I'm hoping that you'll be able to get a mortgage rate or a line of credit between 4.5% and 5.5%, as opposed to 11% or something like that. That's expensive money.
Yeah, yeah. All right.
So that's kind of where we're at. And I would be happy to talk to your appraiser when you choose an appraiser. I'd be happy to talk to your mortgage broker. I'm here to help you and support you as you go towards getting this Bristol project under your belt. I think it's at the end of February you need to get this thing done by, right?
Yeah.
All right. So you reach back to me, Frederick, for any help at all, whether it's with the appraiser or the mortgage broker or the lender. You and
Yeah.
I
So
can.
I'm going to ask our real estate agent, Véronique Le Sieur, their
Yeah.
recommendation for appraiser. Um, but if you have one, for Quebec, just let me know.
I
You can
think
send
you
me the
should.
information.
I think you should definitely. Um, uh, I think you should definitely find somebody that you like and trust, and it has to be somebody who's a commercial appraiser. A residential appraiser cannot appraise this building at 399.
Right.
It
Yeah, yeah,
has to be a commercial appraiser
absolutely.
because they will understand what I've done. A
Yeah,
residential appraiser will just look for comparables, and comparables aren't going to help you.
yeah.
All right,
So
so
I'm going to get onto that. Today we're visiting the volcano, so we have to get the deal with the car rental on that soon. Uh, but I will, yeah, next week, starting the 16th, I'm going to have more time. Because then we're again like scouting the land here to buy properties in
yeah, I
uh,
hear you.
in
Yeah,
Salvador
yeah,
for the and today sorry, the next 2 days after that. Today is just the excursion to volcano,
yeah.
but next 2 days we're doing that. But yeah, 16 I'm arriving there, and then from that point I'll have a lot more availability.
All right. Well,
So
listen, you know how to get in touch with me on WhatsApp. You know how to get in touch with me by email or text, and between now and the end of February, you and I are going to push the ball across the goal line. Okay.
yes,
All right. And I have a recording of this. I'll put it on YouTube, unlisted, and I'll
yeah,
send
yeah.
you the link so you can share it with your realtor if you want. You can share it with
And
your partners. You can
yeah,
share it with your appraiser, your mortgage broker, if you want to. Okay.
right. Thank you so much.
All right. And travel safe.
Yes, for sure.
Bye bye.
Bye.